Hi, I'm Alex, and in this short presentation, I will reveal a wacky but very effective secret formula that will show you how to access the impulsive part of any man's mind. This formula is so ridiculously powerful, it will make any man feel a special kind of desire for you, a desire so intense that you'll be able to send his pulse racing through the roof and have him buckling at the knees just thinking about you. No, I'm not talking about mere liking or attraction here. What I'm referring to is a kind of desire which is so intense that a man feels almost spellbound by you. This is the kind of desire which makes his heart pound in his chest and makes his body literally shake with excitement at the very thought of you. This same formula will give you the power to make any man desire you so badly that he will experience an intense and almost overwhelming urge to be with you all the time. I'll show you how to make any man feel a special kind of love, which is so emotionally addictive that he will want to be with you and only you till the end of time. But before I get to it and share this formula with you, I want you to stop whatever else you're doing right now and pay very close attention to this presentation because it's not going to remain online for too long. This presentation contains controversially sensitive secrets, which can do a lot of good or harm depending on how it's used. Therefore, I don't know how long this video will remain online. I can almost guarantee that this is nothing like anything you've heard or seen before, so make sure you watch it right now while it's still available. By the end of this presentation, you will find yourself shocked and amazed in a good way and a bad way. I'll explain why in a moment. But before that, I want to tell you something that you probably aren't aware of yet. The formula I'm talking about is known to less than 1% of some very lucky women on this planet because this very formula can make any man shower you with so much love, attention, and adoration that it's almost scary. I want you to take a deep breath right now and just imagine something for a second. Imagine feeling sweet tingles in your stomach when you finally witness the very man who didn't want to be with you and who even told you that he doesn't want you in his life literally turn into an obsessive stalker who won't leave you alone and yearns for you so badly that he can't sit straight. Imagine yourself pressing your palms to your cheeks in absolute shock when you see that absolutely dry and unromantic man turn into this hopeless lover who grabs you firmly, lifts you up in his arms, comes so close that you can feel his warmth, and with a passionate glare in his eyes gently whispers, "There is something about you that I just can't resist. You have no idea how special you are to me. I'm really lucky to have you in my life." Imagine how powerful you will feel when you can give a man strong adrenaline spikes on the very first date and make his heart literally freeze and pound at the very sight of you. Just imagine a first date where a guy is sitting nervously in front of you and he keeps biting his lips trying to think of the right thing to do. Imagine him sitting there with a restless posture, planning and obsessing over every detail and struggling to string a sentence together because he doesn't want to screw up his chances with you. Imagine feeling the sensation of pure joy rushing through your bones when the same non-committal man tells you that you're the perfect woman for him. Imagine the shock and excitement as you watch him get on one knee in a very public place without any fear of embarrassment as he stares deeply and affectionately at you. Then, with a deeply loving glare, almost like a needy puppy dog, he literally begs you to marry him. Imagine how good you will feel when this same man tells you how badly he wants to be with you and how he will turn into this hopeless wreck without you. Imagine how relieved you will feel when the very man who dumped you for another woman tells you how irresistible, beautiful, and sexy you are. Imagine him wanting you so badly that he starts chasing you like a crazed maniac and desperately wants to hold you, touch you, feel you, and get close to you once again. Just imagine how envious and red-faced other women will be when they burn with unwanted rounds of jealousy as they watch you effortlessly make any man go out of his way to do nice and pleasing things for you. Imagine the surprising look on their face when they see you making extremely attractive and great men emotionally yearn for you with so much intensity that it's almost too good to be true. I'll show you exactly how to make any man love you so intensely and deeply that he will depend on you like a fish depends on water. He will feel an almost electrical frenzy of attraction for you and will find himself completely enslaved by your raw magnetism. In fact, this formula is so powerful that it makes a guy experience the same type of addiction that he experiences at a casino. He wouldn't want to stop, and it just wouldn't be within his control because it's all going to be impulsive. I'll show you how to evoke certain feelings in his mind and body, which will make him feel utterly addicted and hooked to you and only you. His stomach will do somersaults in excitement when he experiences a flood of intense desire rise up in his body at the very thought of you. Don't be surprised if a man craves your love like a newborn baby craves his mother after you discover this formula. The best part is that this formula is so damn simple that you will feel almost silly for not having discovered it earlier. Sounds impossible, right? I can almost see you sitting there shaking your head in disbelief, and I don't blame you for it. After all, what I've said is hard to believe and even sounds impossible right now. But this is all possible because of one simple reason. I will reveal a very unique way to trigger the impulsive part of any man's mind. This is that specific part which fills up with an uncontrollable level of urgency and desire when you charge it the right way. I'll show you exactly how to do it by using one ridiculously simple technique later in this presentation. So I want you to suspend your disbelief for just 5 minutes and watch this presentation till the very end, because what you're going to discover in this presentation will be one of the most important things you'll ever learn. You probably have two big questions right now. The first question is, who am I? And the second question is, what is this formula that I'm yapping on about? My name is Alex Carter, and I'm a professional pickup artist. Now you must be wondering, what's a pickup artist? Well, a pickup artist is someone who is an expert at meeting, attracting, and seducing women. I know. This probably makes me sound like one of those bad boys, or probably even a player. But before you make any assumptions, I must clarify that I've studied the art of attraction like a doctor studies medical science. In other words, I know exactly what to say or do to make any woman feel heavy bursts of attraction towards me in any situation. But wait, how does this benefit you, or why should you even care? Well, you shouldn't just care. I'd say you should glue your eyes to this presentation with 100% attention, because this won't just benefit you, it will literally change your life. Okay, you're probably wondering, how will this change your life? Well, in order to prove that, I need to tell you my crazy story. I still remember that day very vividly. It was around 6 o'clock in the evening when my best friend Heather showed up at my doorstep with tears burning down her face. My heart started to beat faster and I felt my palms getting sweaty. With a lump in my throat, I asked, "Heather, what's wrong?" In a very weak and shaky voice, she said, "He wants to get rid of me. He doesn't want me anymore. I don't know what to do. I can't live without him." I figured what was about to come. This wasn't the first time Heather was experiencing a desperate situation with a man, and this wasn't the first time she came to me for advice. She'd been dumped 4 times in the past, and each time her condition grew from bad to worse. She has had self-esteem issues for as long as I can remember. In fact, she hates the very idea of herself and has struggled with weight issues right since her teenage years. She had really high hopes from this relationship, but unfortunately, history was about to repeat itself. I gave her a gentle hug and I felt her body literally shaking from head to toe. This made me very nervous. Just by looking at her puffy eyes and swollen face, I could tell that she'd been crying for quite some time and was really feeling the hit. She was on the verge of a literal breakdown. I desperately wished for her well-being. I wanted to drag her out of this pain. So I sat her down and I decided to do something I'd never done before. After a lot of inner resistance and going through an internal battle of whether I should or shouldn't, I just gave her my secret formula and asked her to try this on her boyfriend as soon as possible. At first, she stared at me with a blank look on her face and asked, "Will this work?" I confidently said, "Look, don't prejudge this, just do it and see what happens next." The next day, I sent her a text asking, "So, did it work?" I didn't hear back from her for several hours. After that point, Heather didn't reply to any more texts and switched her phone off. I tried calling her a few times, but to no avail. With each passing day, I was growing more and more anxious. On the 4th day, I heard a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and immediately felt like a huge load had been lifted off my shoulders. It was Heather. I quickly opened the door and surprisingly saw a very different person standing in front of me. She was standing there with a wide grin plastered across her face. Before I could say anything, she pushed me back a little, stormed into my house, and jumped on the couch like a little kid. I said, "Whoa, someone is very happy today." She said, "Well, I have good news and bad news. First, I'll tell you the bad news. I'm moving." Confused, I asked, "What? Moving? Where?" With a slight blush, she got a little closer to me and said, This is where the good news comes in. I'm moving in with my boyfriend. I asked, wait a minute, is this the same guy who wanted to get rid of you a few days ago? She admitted, yes, that was a few days ago, but not anymore. He's been calling me endlessly since the last couple of days and keeps telling me how much he loves me, misses me, and wants to be with me. The tables have finally turned. I'd never seen her with this much confidence before. I was about to ask her for more details when suddenly she stormed towards me and hugged me so hard it almost choked me, and boy, was she strong. Then she drowned her face hard into my chest and sobbed, thank you so much. I couldn't have done it without your help. Her reaction struck an emotional chord with me. I suddenly remembered how I used to struggle around women as well. All images of past rejection, humiliation, and embarrassment started running through the screen of my mind. That's the moment when I decided to make it my core mission to help as many women as I possibly can with this information. I won't lie, but I was extremely surprised seeing Heather's reaction. I mean, I knew this formula would work, but I didn't know it would work this fast and with this much accuracy. My mind started racing with more ideas, and I felt my head spinning in wild circles with an overflow of creativity. I knew that I was having a light bulb moment, only in this case, my head had turned itself into this huge, odd-looking light bulb radiating with so much light that it could blind someone. But then it all suddenly came crashing down. A little evil voice in my head said, "Are you sure this will work on every man and with every situation?" I didn't quite have an answer to this yet, but I was overflowing with so much curiosity and excitement that I absolutely had to test it out with more women. In the coming months, I shared this exact formula with hundreds of women, and honestly, the results exceeded my expectations. There were times when I used to literally squeal and giggle, embarrassingly, just like a little girl, with utter euphoria each time a woman would report back to me with amazing results. One woman told me that she was completely struggling in her dating life because most men used to avoid her after the first date. She used to spend most days waiting by the phone in hopes that some guy would call back, but she never used to hear back from any man. This was a huge blow to her self-esteem, and she was immensely suffering because of this. But all this radically changed after she applied my formula. The first time she applied my formula on a guy, he told her that he would be privileged if she gave him an opportunity to date her further. Over the next few weeks, almost every guy she went out with desperately wanted more dates with her. Another lady said she was desperately trying to get her ex back, but nothing was working. However, the moment she used my formula, she was completely lost for words because, for the first time in several months, her ex spoke to her and even agreed to meet for coffee. Another woman reported back saying that she can't believe she hadn't discovered this earlier. She tried it on her distant boyfriend and was completely surprised to see how quickly and easily he opened up, and even told her things he had never discussed in the past. So now you must be wondering, all right, Alex, enough foreplay. Can you please share this formula with me? Well, I would be more than glad to. My formula is called the Impulsive Desire Method. And just as the name suggests, it makes a man feel an almost impulsive, raw, and extremely intense level of desire for you. It doesn't matter if you're married, single, or in a complicated relationship. It doesn't matter what you look like or whether you are overweight or underweight. This formula works really well, regardless of how bad your current situation is or how many times you've failed in the past. Let me explain how it works now. Have you ever seen a guy at a casino who just can't stop gambling, even though he keeps losing money? Why do you think he's doing that? He logically knows that he's losing money and can even go completely broke if he continues, yet he simply can't stop himself. Why is this? This is because during gambling, a man's system experiences a heavy surge of hormones, commonly known as the pleasure hormones. They are so addictive that a person forgets all logic and keeps going in the direction of their goal. In other words, he becomes heavily impulsive. So, in order to make him impulsively desire you, you have to trigger an overflow of these pleasure hormones in his system. But the big question is, how do you do it? Well, it's really simple, and there's just one very simple thing you need to do. You have to turn yourself into a trigger of pleasurable feelings in his mind. Have you ever seen a guy who went completely nuts over a certain girl, even though she wasn't that good looking or smart? Plus, did you find yourself thinking, what does he see in her? What is so special about her? To you, she might appear completely ordinary, But to that specific man, she was the source of pleasurable feelings. And exactly as the universal psychological principle states, when a person makes us feel good, we naturally wish to have more of them in our life and feel the need to be around such a person as much as possible. So in a nutshell, you need to turn yourself into a source of pleasurable feelings for your man, which in other words means you need to position yourself in a way where any time he meets you or thinks of you, he experiences a strong and almost sudden urge of pleasurable feelings. When you achieve this, he will only experience emotions such as love, attraction, excitement whenever he is around you, and will even find himself wanting, needing, and craving your love, like a little kid craves it from his mother. Plus, there are two really amazing things which will happen